Everybody, welcome back to the Investor Shed podcast. I'm Nick Beveridge here with my co-host, Jeremy Kitchen.
It's me, the man, the myth, the not legend, Jeremy Kitchen. How are you, Nick?
I'm doing much better than you. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later. No.
Yeah. No, okay. So we haven't recorded in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And since then, I've gained about 10 pounds and you almost died a couple times.
Yeah, that's vague. I don't think I almost died. I've had a lot of weird stuff happen to my body. Well, yeah.
Your ears were bleeding out of nowhere, both of them.
Yeah.
And that's something that usually happens on Walking Dead.
Yeah, that is. So I thought I was turning into a zombie, but the doctor said, no, you got fucked up ears.
Yeah.
So.
And now you got ringing in your ears and you have pink eye coming out of your ears here and there.
No, it's not pink eye. That's a
sinus infection, pink eye.
Nothing's confirmed there.
You thought you had pink eye.
I thought I did. Yeah. So my daughter got sick. She ended up having some, I guess, like mucus release out of her eyes. This is a good investor shed topic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Tell us about the mucus release.
Her eyes were totally clear. There was no pink eye. And the doctor was like, that's pink eye. And I'm like, I don't know about that. It feels like the cold leaving. Anyway, I got the same thing.
How quickly did they walk out of the room?
Sam took her, so probably pretty quick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's when you go to the doctor, they like cartwheel in. They're like, disease.
And then
assumptions. Yeah. And then like, we got more things to do.
Assumptions based off experience and stuff, but I'm not really going to look or touch at you.
Yeah. I'm going to spend like 3-4 seconds and be like, yeah, that's probably what you've got.
I'm going to go to my computer and write up a prescription.
Yep. You will get a medication. That is for sure.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yep. And then, anyway, I ended up getting the goop coming out of my eyes, which was fine. I took antibiotics. I don't think it was the pink eye. It was just a weird cold. But now my ears are all just messed up and my equilibrium's off. I can hear kind of what you're saying, which I'm glad you're on this side of me, by the way.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, your other ear is plugged?
Yeah. I don't know what's happening there.
Sinus infection, probably.
Yeah.
Probably
the doctor does like the thing when he like, can you hear that?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I can hear that.
And he does it to me and I'm like, no. And he's like, your hearing sucks. And I'm like, thanks, buddy.
And you've gained weight since you were last here. Yep, that's
and
true.
Your blood pressure's up. Okay.
Why is your heart rate up?
Because I'm dying.
Yeah, it's
anyway, like
we're almost 40.
You gained a little bit of weight. I had weird ear problems, and I still do. But let's the ship sails on, Nick.
Yes, it will.
Yeah,
I just got back from a 10-day vacation road trip over got back over the weekend, and stepped on the scale. Weighed 234 pounds, most I've ever weighed.
Congratulations, a new PR.
Yeah. I'm like, this is 10 pounds heavier than when I was trying to lose weight a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, my gosh. Turns out if you don't sleep good every night for 10 days and you overeat and drink every day, and you wildly consume cheese curds that you get in Tillamook.
So that makes sense.
Well, I was also in Oregon.
Right.
Went to Tillamook, the factory.
Cheese curds are legal in Oregon too, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, when we had poutine, we had it all. We're just eating nonstop for 10 days and drinking and not getting proper sleep. And just like that, extra 10 pounds.
What's cool about this, though, like now you have a beacon for being like, oh, obviously this happens when this happens, right? So this formula says you don't sleep well, you eat like garbage, you eat a bunch of cheese curds, you will gain weight.
It's like a bloated stock market. Eventually, it will go down.
Ooh, let's talk about that too. That's a good segue there, Nick.
Oh yeah, a lot of people are pissed because they're like, I don't know, there's tariffs going into effect.
Everyone loves the stock market
going down.
I love it.
I do too. It's exciting. Now, fortunately, we don't have to pull our money out of the stock market like maybe some people. I think I really should look into this, but how many people like need to pull their money out constantly?
If you need to pull your money out, I don't think like the place with the stock market, you're planning on it compounding, right? Like it really works when you invest for the long term, in my opinion.
Yeah. And you don't sell when things go down.
Right.
And instead, maybe you buy a little more.
It's so weird. Like the shift in mindset of like, I understand the normal American's fear of like, my money is losing money. I need to get my money out of the place where it's losing money. Yeah.
It's like a basic instinct.
Yeah. It's like fight or flight almost, right?
Yeah. Monkey brain. Kind of thing.
But when I saw my stock was down like 20-25%, I just injected another couple $1,000 into it. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Because what you don't want to do is buy more when things are going up.
Right.
Which is what most people do.
Yeah. You can't always control that, unfortunately. I mean, like a lot of times I'm just auto investing. It's just doing it by itself, whether the market's up or down. Kind of like dollar cost averaging, I think is what that's called. Like every day I just do it no matter what.
Yeah.
But when it's really down,
do you have auto investing going on like weekly?
Daily for some stuff, weekly
daily
for some stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I still have that weekly Tesla buy.
Yeah.
And that's how I keep track of the price, because I just every Monday I get to see, even though I kind of see it more lately.
Yeah.
But, I'm buying it at that price. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Or like, ugh, that was kind of expensive today.
Exactly. So like my Bitcoin, I've got it on like a $2 a day, no matter what. It's a very small investment for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But like when I was buying it at $102,000, I'm like, I'm just buying expensive Bitcoin. Now it's down to 82,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm buying less expensive Bitcoin.
Yeah. Because you're not selling your Bitcoin. You don't need it. Like, it's an investment long term. You don't need to pull it out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at the dollar cost averages, I'm still up a bunch, which is cool.
Yeah.
So just stay the course, everybody, and stop freaking the hell out.
Well, and it seems like when you look at history, most of the stock market is a reaction to,
A big
emotions.
event, right? Yeah, yeah.
It's more reactionary than it is like the result of profit and loss.
Sure.
It's like anticipation
Right.
of what's going to come.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really feel like it's just one of those great opportunities to buy stuff at a discount.
Yeah.
Will it probably go down more? Yeah.
Yep.
But who knows?
Yep.
Like what I've learned since I've been an adult is that nobody can accurately predict anything.
I love that.
Except when would be a good time to purchase, and maybe when would be a good time to sell based off pattern.
Right.
Like, people are pretty good at pattern recognition, and that's how people typically get rich or wealthy. They recognize certain patterns, but they're never going to get their timing perfect.
No.
But what you don't want to do is just freak out and like completely sell out
Right.
at the wrong times when you've lost.
Yeah.
Or like give up when you lose.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
That's because you don't have to necessarly lose.
Right.
Like,
and again, that panic in the mindset of like, my money's lost money, and I understand it from like from almost like a boomer perspective.
Yeah.
Right. So I overheard Sam and her mom talking that Sam's mom's 401k is down a lot.
Yeah,
and they're panicking because that's their retirement, right? And I understand that panic.
Yeah,
but
but they're not pulling it all out right.
But they're not pulling it all out right now either. So it's just like, stay the course. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, it's just the value has gone down,
right?
Because so is all their wealth tied up in the stock market?
I'm not 100% sure, so I can't honestly answer that. But I know they have a big like 401k and pension and stuff, and like that is attached to the stock market. They're not self-directing, of course. So I understand the panic of looking at like your number, thinking you have a big number and you have 20 to 30% less. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, one thing I guess we should remind people, I guess, and maybe not everybody realizes this because they were just brought up in this, but people used to not have their wealth tied to the stock market.
Yeah.
With retirements. But gradually we were kind of pushed this way. In society with 401ks and stuff, but you still just got to take a couple steps back and realize that you are in a casino with your stock market.
Yes.
Like, it is not guaranteed to go up over time. It has gone up over time, but there has been, look at any graph of the stock market and you'll notice it goes up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Gradually it's been going up.
Right.
But it goes up and down, up and down, and up and down with events, and like, it doesn't mean that's the end of the world.
Right.
It just means this is one of those times where the stock market's going down because it just went up.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's a wonderful time to maybe not panic when everybody else is panicking.
Yeah.
And just look for opportunities.
Right.
Because when things are on fire, it's harder to find opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my thought. But like everybody has a choice to be tied to the stock market.
Yeah.
And if you've made that decision, you've got to know that risks come with that.
Yeah.
You're not guaranteed anything in this life.
Right.
Especially if you invest in things that fluctuate in value.
Right. Which, I mean, like, real estate does that too, of course.
Yeah.
Like, there are values and
it's
there are
not as
fluctuations.
rampant.
It's not as rampant, for sure.
My real estate portfolio hasn't dipped 10% overnight.
Right.
Like my stocks just did.
Right.
That doesn't happen.
That's true. But there are dips, and there are like, I mean, like when COVID happened, there was a huge, like, it shot up. It didn't really dip.
Oh, it dipped at first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then it shot up.
Yeah. Anyway.
But if everybody sold off, which some people did, as soon as COVID
because there was panic.
There was a large stock crashes, and some people decided to pull out completely after they lost a bunch of money.
Yep.
And then just hold in there for another month
Yep.
or so.
Staying the course is so important, whether it's, stock investing or real estate, honestly, just like hold steady if you can.
Yeah.
Because it will stabilize.
Yeah. But I'd like to talk about, since this is an investing show,
Ooh, let's talk about investing stuff.
what's going on in the news.
Okay.
A lot of people are either strongly against what's going on
Mm-hmm.
or strongly for what's going on. It seems to be very little middle ground.
The divide is like bigger than ever, and it always will, and it's going to continue to, like, the way I've been telling people. I'm like, it's a pendulum that's swinging, but it's gaining momentum every single time it swings, right?
Yeah.
So there's no middle common ground anymore. It's like you're right or get.
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody is so convinced of their beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to step back, like, what led us to this point? Like, why are we trying to now tariff every country out there?
Yeah.
And bring in this extra revenue source? Why is it even important? And why are we doing it at the expense of us?
Sure.
Potentially, or that's what a lot of people are claiming. A lot of people are claiming as well. Is the exact opposite. No, this is going to benefit us long term.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't been fair for this country for many, many, many decades.
Define not fair for this country.
So a lot of other countries, most other countries, have tariffs against us when we try to sell stuff in their countries.
Sure.
And we have very low to zero tariffs on a lot of imports.
Got it.
So it's like when I was driving around in Europe for a week, I didn't see any Fords. I didn't see any Chevys. I didn't see any GMCs. I didn't see anything but like VWs and Mercedes and like the European cars.
Sure.
Not because it's illegal to sell.
Right.
Like you can sell vehicles there, but they have like 100% tariffs.
Wow. Okay.
100%.
That's wild.
So it's very expensive to wear a Chevy badge there.
So, and if we could break that down just a little bit. So say a truck costs $20,000 for simplicity here. Does it cost $40,000 over there? Is that how that tariff kind of works?
100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is more expensive over there.
And like even in Canada, like there's like they tariff the hell out of a lot of our consumer goods. And we've had tariffs on some things, but not. So yeah, we're upping the game on our end to try to make things more quote unquote fair.
Sure.
Because we have been getting ripped off, but the I think mostly what it's being used for is a tool to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. because over the last several decades, a lot of jobs in the U.S. have been shipped overseas.
Sure. Yeah.
And now we've just become a consumer nation.
Yep.
And it's not sustainable.
Sure.
And the numbers are proving that it's not sustainable.
Right.
Because we keep getting deeper and deeper into debt as we don't produce as much in this country. And it's not. I think the tariffs are going to make things more expensive.
Sure.
I don't know if it's going to fix our deficit issue that quickly.
Right.
Because it seems like the math that I've been doing, it's probably only going to bring in over the next decade $2 to $3 trillion worth of revenue.
Doesn't really do much.
No, but it's something.
It is something. It is better than nothing.
This is the bigger issue problem that we have is that we have almost a $2 trillion deficit.
Right.
Which means that every year the U.S. adds an extra $2 trillion to that. Like right now, the pot is $36 trillion, and our unfunded liabilities are closer to 190.
Mm-hmm.
Unfunded liabilities, as in like future payouts to like Social Security, Medicaid, all that stuff. It's a big issue, and the interest payments on our debt is one of the most expensive line items that we have.
Yeah.
It surpassed the defense budget, which it's over $1 trillion now.
It's like
1.1 trillion.
Like your weight.
Yes. But that number has been going up rapidly.
Yeah.
And due to the magic of compound interest,
But working in a reverse manner.
Our country is getting broker and broker every year at a fast pace.
Sure.
And fast as in like just a couple of decades from now, things are going to be wildly different in this country if we don't fix our books.
Right.
And there's only two ways to fix our books. And
you think they have a bookkeeper? The government, just like one bookkeeper with a QuickBooks account?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because they're finding in a lot of the treasuries and a lot of accounting practices, they weren't even categorizing what the expenses were.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
It's pretty wild.
Have you heard about that?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so DOJ made it mandatory that when government agencies make payments, they categorize what it's for. A quick commercial break here. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really do appreciate it. If you want to give back, let me help you buy a house, or I can help you sell a house. It's the only way I make money when I'm not investing in real estate. I don't make money on this podcast or the events I do, but I do make money only when I help people buy and sell houses. So if you're looking for your next investment and you're here in North Idaho, I want to help you personally. If you are not in North Idaho, I can still help you out. I have a vast network of referral partners all across the country, and I can find the right real estate investor savvy agent for you so you don't have to. It doesn't cost you a thing. Thank you for your support. Back to the show.
That sounds fair.
Well, people are on the streets about it. People don't like any kind of interruptions, but like they're and this is what really makes me angry on the inside, but I never really say it. But now that we have a podcast, I can say it a little bit.
You have a platform. You can do whatever you want. Let's show our audience.
It sickens me to death when I see these fucking signs, because we drove through all the protests in Oregon and Canada and all that stuff, and I keep seeing these signs that say, like, get your hands off our Social Security and Medicaid and all that stuff. They have never once, and I searched all through ChatGPT, which is a left-leaning machine.
Yep.
It's definitely pro-left, like you can tell but it's facts. In general, it's giving you facts.
Yeah.
I'm like, has the Trump administration or Elon ever mentioned cutting the benefits, like U.S. citizens deserving like entitlement benefits?
Right.
And it's a no.
Yeah.
They're trying to make Social Security more efficient.
They're trying to
by cutting the waste within the administration of sending you checks,
right,
and all that stuff,
right.
Which there's been a lot of. There's been a lot of inefficiencies throughout all these agencies, but like there's so much misinformation out there. It just drives me nuts. It's like, can we please get a hold of the books,
right,
and just make some common sense? Because I'm not all for like just cutting important jobs.
Sure. Yeah.
And like I think you need to be very delicate about that. But
yes, it's
2025, and they still have practices that go back to the 50s of how they're doing administrative work.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very inefficient.
There's a way to optimize that for sure. And I hear what you're saying about like the protests. Like I don't know enough about them to comment on like what they were, but I know you're talking about the kind of get your hands off movement.
Yeah.
So Sam's brother is heavily involved in politics.
Sure.
Even he's very left leaning, and that's A-okay.
Yeah.
But he's like, even I don't understand these protests.
But he goes to them.
No, he didn't go to them. He was like talking about other people protesting. He's like,
I thought that was like one of his jobs too. Wasn't he like a political commentator or something like that?
He's not a political commentator. He's helping reform the voting system. So he's like working on like this big thing on how we actually vote as a country.
Yeah.
But he saw these protests and he was just like, even I don't understand it because these people are protesting. They're not offering solutions.
Yeah.
They're just out there.
That's the big thing. And that was another thing I was trying to figure out. And it's in here.
But I will say, most people protesting, they don't really offer solutions. They're just trying to band together. Like it happens on right side, it happens on left side. They're not really trying to be like, we know the answer, but they're just they want to be like, we're mad as hell and we want you to know about it.
Yeah. It's not like, we have an alternative plan to fix the books right here. Can you check this out?
I have a whole standard operating procedure for this.
We thought of ways.
We went to ChatGPT as well.
We thought of ways to not have a deficit where our country eventually goes bankrupt.
Right. But I think they are trying to bring awareness that something is wrong in the system.
Yes.
And whether they're right or wrong, I'm not saying yes or no to that. But peaceful protesting is always a plus. So please continue to do so, of course. But
yeah. So I did ask, approximately how much revenue is projected with all these new tariffs. But the Guardian predicts approximately 600 billion a year. Wall Street Journal 700 to 850 835 billion. Mm-hmm. So around 600 to 800 billion a year is what a couple outlets are kind of thinking that it could help.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so these tariffs, while they will make things more expensive, the way I try to think about like what's fair or what's not, like, yeah, it might make things more expensive, but that's if you choose to buy things that are not made in this country.
Sure. Whatever
Whatever you buy in this country is not going to be tariffed.
Sure.
Whatever you buy in this country that's made in this country.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think about that too. Like it's incentivizing, and there's already been all these big companies that are building factories here in the U.S.
Yeah.
Who's protesting that?
Right.
Like, is that, like, it seems like this is going to be a messy issue.
Yeah,
like,
it's already pretty messy, I think.
Yes, but it could get worse.
I agree with you.
But it seems like we're on the right track to the two things we need to do to make our country not go bankrupt is to bring down expenses.
Sure.
And to raise income.
Yeah.
And when I kind of research, what is the left or the Democrats like? What is their plan to deal with the deficit? And their plan was to, over the next decade, reduce by about $3 trillion, which is not enough. There's a $36 trillion deficit. But they proposed just bringing up taxes overall.
Sure. Which isn't like, that's not a bad way to fix it. That could be part of the solution.
Yes, I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like, again, like the divide is so big on these sides. Like we all want the same thing. We all want like America to thrive. And we want to not go into debt over our heads. But the idea of how we execute it is completely different on both sides, of course, right?
Yes.
Because I mean, a lot of times, and this is not a knock to either side of the party. I'm pretty neutral on these things, but like right side is always typically like, don't touch my taxes. I hate paying more for things.
Yeah, that's true. Which
this is America. We want it cheap. We want it like, but you also they want to have your cake and eat it too.
Totally agree.
Yep. And then left is like tax, but at what cost?
Yeah. The left is like, hey, we're going to tell you how to spend the rich people's money.
Right.
And the rich people are like, hey, how about we make stuff, but don't touch my money?
Yeah. That's a pretty fair assessment. Like, what is that?
and I've got to agree.
Fuck you, I made this money.
Yeah. And now that, I've been in business for the last decade or so, and I've been in a position where I can make lots of money, but then also realize that I pay very little taxes compared to most people. I do pay taxes. I probably pay more than most middle-class families.
Important information right there. You pay more than most. You very much pay more than most people.
Yeah.
But your percentage is less.
My percentage is much less.
Right. But you also, you're not doing anything illegal. You are playing well within the confines of the tax code.
Yeah.
It would be stupid for you to not take these tax write-offs.
Right.
Right. But why would you pay more when you don't have to?
But what I've learned is as I get richer and as I can acquire more real estate, I'm going to pay even less taxes. Mm-hmm. Probably zero.
Yeah.
Is that fair? I don't know if it is.
Yeah, I don't know if it is or not. I
don't know if it is. I mean, I think the whole point of the tax code is to incentivize growth of the economy. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of it. Otherwise, it would be a very small book.
Right.
Here's what the rates are.
Yeah.
The reason why the book is so big because it's like, here's all the things that you can do to save on this rate that we would like for you to help us grow the economy.
Right.
Because entrepreneurs in general other than, I mean, the federal government employs a lot of people too, but where do they get that money? They get it from
Right.
the people that make stuff.
Sure.
Can I be taxed a little bit more? Probably. Should I be? Probably.
Well, yeah, you're
But I think a lot of, I think a lot of people don't pay taxes.
yeah, more than
there's-
you would think, probably.
I think the people that pay the most taxes are like middle-class doctors and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's like a sweet spot there. Like if you're like living in poverty and you make below the threshold, of course you're not going to be paying a lot of taxes. Since the rich have all these write-offs and they have, real estate and businesses and operational income that they can write off, like they're not paying a lot of taxes. So that funnels most of it into the middle class, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, what's fair? It's like, who knows? I mean, it depends. What's fair for you won't be fair for somebody else.
Right.
So it's hard to say what's fair. I don't think there's any. I don't think fair exists. I think you just have to have acceptance.
Right. There is no perfect system because I think either way you swing it, like, yeah, the tax code is like very weird and complicated, but either way you swing it, somebody's going to get mad.
Yeah.
Unless we could find a way to like generate income without taxes, which will not happen. Like if we just said like, okay, everybody's at zero, try to figure it out for a little bit, the economy would just like take a huge shit.
Yeah.
So somebody's got to be paying these taxes. Thank you for paying your taxes. If you're an American, we appreciate you.
No, you know what's funny is like I've actually the more I see if Doge is actually effective
Mhm.
and they can cut out all the bullshit,
Mhm.
all the programs that like are really just being wasted, and if it actually ran like an efficient, clean business one day,
Mhm.
I would feel much better about paying taxes.
I would. Knowing
I would
exactly
feel
what it goes
more
toward.
patriotic because I've known like how corrupt things have been and like how 80% of your dollars really don't go towards
No.
any like good causes in the United States in general. Like that's why I think so many people are resistant to paying taxes because they know deep down it's not really, most of it's not going to a good cause, like the Red Cross,
Right.
where 90% of the money goes towards the administration and then only 10% goes towards dying kids.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
So like every time like you donate somewhere, like you have to actually ask like, okay, where's my money going? Like, how do you spend this money? And the same with taxes. Like I would be a lot less upset if again, these were very optimized systems where I'm just like, okay, cool. The governments are running effectively.
Mhm.
They're very forward going with all their paperwork and like nobody's trying to hide anything. Great. Let's start hacking at that number as a country.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I would love that. That sounds fair.
That sounds sustainable.
Yeah, it does sound sustainable. And then everybody knows exactly, okay, like your tax dollars are going here to do this. And at the end of the day, this should make this deficit number go down.
That's the whole point of running a surplus.
Right.
I mean, we have to run a surplus in order to pay that deficit down.
Yeah, 100%.
And right now we're not. No. So we have to raise income somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's either in the form of raising taxes or tariffs. Tariffs is the same thing, but it's optional.
Yep.
That's the great thing. Now, this is my opinion. It may not be correct. I'm going to admit that right now. But I think I'm more in favor of big tariffs than, income taxes flat across the board, because income taxes are required by everybody.
Right.
Where tariffs is a choice. I can choose to buy something that's made in another country that I can easily buy here.
Sure. But I think
they're not going to tariff anything that can't be made here.
Okay.
They're only going to be tariffing things that could also be made in this country. Like you have choices.
Yeah. And like, just like thinking on like a very minute level on like, how would this work at like Pizza Hut? Right. Obviously, they probably get all their tomatoes and stuff from the United States, but where are they getting their?
Well, they're not importing pizzas off of a ship.
Hear me out, though. I'm not finished. Okay, like you could be importing the cardboard boxes. You could be importing the machines that they use to cook the pizza. You could be using cash registers. Like you could be importing other POS systems that affect a business, which means like your pizza is now more expensive.
Sure. Yeah,
and that's just something we'd have to live with at that point. Like, okay, like if you want the pizza, you got to pay for it. So.
But you also got to take a step back, at least I do, and realize that this country is running towards bankruptcy.
Yes. And I'm not saying that's
we
right
need to raise income. And if prices have to go up for that, they have to go up.
Yep.
Or our taxes have to go up. Or hopefully the expenses of the U.S. government go down by necessary cuts.
I think that sounds like a pretty optimized system. We're not like political experts here, but like say that like, okay, you raise taxes a little bit, you raise tariffs a little bit, you raise income a little bit.
And you bring down
and you bring down what?
expenses.
And bring down expenses
like wasteful expenses.
Yeah, that sounds
or
like,
fraudulent expenses.
or both. Yeah, exactly. That sounds like optimized in some way. Like in my head, I'm like, okay, do all those things. That should start to help.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's good because I don't think most people are up at night worried about our national debt crisis.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But I am.
Mm-hmm.
It does, but not every night.
It really bothers me.
It really bothers me. It does. It's bothered me since I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've ever had those talks.
I've heard you talk enough at REIs and real estate meetups where you're like, this debt's a fucking problem, and like you've showed me the thing like 9 times now, so I can tell you're passionate about it.
I've been very fearful of the U.S. spending for a very long time, just because I know it's not, or at least from what mathematicians say, it's like it's not sustainable.
Right.
And that's why I always lean towards, instead of getting a job, like I got to have a business or real estate someday because I'm going to have to be rich. It was like, in my head back when I was a teenager, it's like, I've got to figure out a way to become rich because it seems like the way this country is going, if I just try to get a job and have a normal life, the standards of living are going to go down and down and down as our currency gets eroded away with inflation, and our debt continues to rise and rise. That's just what was going through my head as a young child. And I don't remember what kind of presentations and stuff I was listening to at the time.
Yeah.
I think some of it was a biology teacher, which was interesting.
Yeah.
And then an economics class, and then listening to, the big thing was ACN, and listening to Robert Kiyosaki for the first time. And talk about that kind of stuff. But anyway, I asked AI this morning, so based off your AI power, what approach do you think is the most effective to deal with the U.S. deficit and actually fix it long term, plus unfunded liabilities?
Okay.
So
Nick asking the big boy questions.
I'm asking the big boy supercomputer that is left-leaning. Remember this. It's a left-leaning machine. It's ChatGPT. It's not Grok. I like Grok too, but I'm not using it this morning because I like different opinions.
Yeah. That's really good of you, by the way, because I think a lot of people get caught up into one opinion and they hold on to it as the gospel, if that makes sense, right? And that's part of where this divide is, right? Like I have this opinion and I have this opinion. There's no middle ground here.
Yeah. Because I felt like if I was asking Grok all these questions, it's just my theory. Yeah. Maybe there's no truth to it, but my theory is that it will probably point Doge in a better light than ChatGPT would.
Now, it's so weird because this is just pulling from the internet. Obviously, you say like ChatGPT is left-leaning.
It is.
And I haven't done enough research to do that, so I'm trusting your opinion here on that. But like, if it's just pulling from the internet and pulling facts, like you said earlier, like, does that mean...
That's what I'm asking for, basically. I'm not asking for a report on Black justice or anything like that.
Okay.
Or Black Lives Matter, like anything that could sways... I don't know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. But I guess I'm asking, like, if you ask it the same question, do you think you'll get different results on each AI?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's like, I guess that makes it like, how do I trust the machine that's giving me the information then? Because they're both giving me different intel. You would think if this pulled from the same sources in the same internet, it would be like, here's basically the number, or here's the factual piece of this. But they're all going to throw their own little...
And the reason why I like Grok is because I know it's maximally truth seeking is like their goal. Their goal is to just put up the facts, even if it like it gives a different opinion of like, Elon or whatever.
Sure.
But anyway, I asked AI, what approach to fixing this debt issue is going to be the best, long term plus unfunded liabilities. This is what its realistic plan that it thinks that is doable to actually fix this massive problem we have that most people can't even comprehend how big it is. Most people don't know how big $1 trillion is, let alone 190 trillion of unfunded liabilities. So anyway, it thinks that we should gradually do entitlement reforms, which is kind of scary. That's the number one thing.
Now, what does that mean?
So this is Social Security,
Mm-hmm.
Medicare, Medicaid. It says that it accounts for over 2/3 of federal spending.
Okay.
And you can't fix a deficit without addressing them, but you can preserve benefits for those in or near retirement while making smart changes.
Mm-hmm.
So it recommends raise the retirement age gradually to match life expectancy. So from 67 to 69 by 2020 or by 2040. So over the next, what is that, 15 years? Gradually raise the retirement age from 67 to 69. I think I agree with that.
I think I agree with that too. And like you're saying, like life expectancy, specifically with, advances in medication and with how doctors can cure most things nowadays.
Yeah.
Life expectancy has been going up. Look at it. Like, what is the average life expectancy now? Isn't it like 85 for a man and 130 for a woman?
We can ask, but
It's not that important.
It's more than in the 60s.
Right. But what I'm saying is like, if we were raise the retirement age 2 years with life expectancy going up, that sounds fair. Yeah. I know people hate working more and they want to retire, but like stay in the market an extra 2 years. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So it also recommends within this entitlement reform to means test benefits for wealthy retirees. So I'm guessing what that means. I don't know what that means exactly, but I'm guessing like, do you actually need this for wealthy people? And could we not make it available, even if wealthy people are entitled to benefits based off, if they had a job for 20 years and then they became wealthy? Do we need wealthy people on these benefits? I think I agree with that too. I think I agree. Like if I was paying in for the first 20, like I'm paying in.
Yeah.
It's very small in relative to my income, but I've been paying in and I know that I have right now, I think $1,400 a month so far. If I were to stop paying in now, that would be available to me at retirement age.
There's a website you can go to check that out, I think.
Yeah. But I think I agree with that. If I'm wealthy enough and don't need it, maybe they shouldn't give it to me.
And I agree with you agreeing with it. And here's where that divide comes back into play, right? The rich are typically like, don't touch my money, don't touch my benefits. Like I've worked hard for these, I deserve these things, which I agree with at a point. But it's hard to know how people will react when you tell them they can't have a thing.
Yeah.
And that's typically what requires or makes people upset in the first place when you say you can't have this, but everyone else gets this. It's not the equality that everyone else needs, if that makes sense.
It's going to piss a lot of people off.
Yeah, it will.
But is it needed? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we got into this huge promise. Here's the issue. I don't know if it says here, but I remember seeing this when I was researching this. When they set up Social Security, oh, here it is. Social Security was designed at the time when we had 16 workers per retiree.
Okay.
Today, it's more like 2.8 and shrinking.
Gotcha.
That's a problem.
Yep.
So, they usually have one retiree per 16 workers, and now it's down to there's 2.8 workers.
Sure. For
every one retiree, and it's shrinking.
Is this a baby boomer generation kind of cause and effect type of thing?
I guess so.
Okay, because I mean, obviously, baby boomers, when that happened, like there was an influx of people, and since there were an influx of people, they're all going to be retiring at roughly the same time.
Yep.
Right. So then you have all these retirees and nobody to fill the gap.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Again, I don't have a solution for that. I'm just making light of what a thing actually is.
Here's something that it recommends. I don't really agree with, but adjust cost of living formulas to grow slightly lower than inflation.
I do like the acronym of COLA.
Yeah, that's nice. Cost of living formula. Yeah. And then Medicare reform through value-based care models and negotiating drug prices more aggressively. Yeah, I agree with that. Just be more aggressive with the negotiations of the drug companies.
Why don't you agree with adjusting the cost of living formulas?
I think if inflation is 3 or 4%, I think you should up someone's income by 3 or 4%.
Sure.
To match inflation. That's just my belief.
Okay.
Because
it's to grow slightly slower than inflation. I agree with the fact of like adjusting it, but I don't know at what rate it should be. Like it should be something that we should look at.
Yeah, because like I know benefits typically rise with inflation.
Mhm.
I don't know by how much, if it's dollar for dollar
Right.
or what it is. I think that's why they artificially try to keep it low,
Yeah.
even though inflation is actually like 10 to 15% somewhere in there.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're always showing a smaller number. Like they want to show 2%.
Right.
Even though it's much higher, but they like take away things like food and energy costs and that kind of stuff.
Well, they don't want to
that
create
fluctuate.
widespread panic either, right? If they were like, inflation's
also-
fucked this year, like we are at 17%.
Well, they can't afford it.
They can't afford it, but
They
like,
can't afford to bring your average, which is really sad.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that I know that are, the baby boomers that are now officially retired or tried to retire the last few years. And they're making such a small amount, they're making $1,400 or whatever it is a month. And that's not even enough to cover their rent if they don't own a house.
Right. It's hard.
So I think, with inflation, that should probably go up.
Yeah, I agree.
But inflation numbers have been kept artificially low forever, so that that number doesn't grow
Right.
with actual real expenses.
Right. And that's the problem that hopefully somebody looks at.
Yeah.
Hopefully with the government or the Doge, I guess. Maybe that's something they take a look at.
Who knows? I mean, that's more about slashing and cutting and being efficient and putting in systems.
But like, if you're going to be like truly efficient, I think
Yeah.
you need to be honest with all the numbers you're putting out. Like, yeah, if inflation says it's at 2%, but really they're like, okay, if you can count food and all these other things, it's really up here. At least like putting that number out so we have a beacon of what to shoot for. If we need to raise rates 10%, we need to at least look at what that looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's also what AI recommends. So that was a gradual entitlement reform. Now, second thing it recommends is the burden of the tax base, broaden the tax base without crushing the middle class. So we don't need extreme tax hikes. We just need a broader, more efficient tax system. So simplify the tax code, eliminate most loopholes, especially the corporate deductions and offshore tricks and stuff. You know what? Maybe that's true. Maybe we just need to, if we want to fix things long term, and I'm so pro capitalist and I'm so pro, rich people. And, but I do think that maybe we get away with a little too much.
Right. But again, like that number, once you start bringing up that number, the rich right is going to come down with like hell have a theory on our money.
And which maybe they have a right to.
Maybe they have a right to. I'm not telling you what they do or not, but it's
but if it was simplified,
if it reminds me of the J.G. Gentworth, like those people are like, it's my money and I want it now.
Yeah.
Like don't touch my stuff.
But I think if you just had a reasonable tax rate for everybody,
right,
like 10% or something like that, or 15%,
45% or something reasonable.
No, that's the thing. In other countries, though, like Denmark and all these European countries, it is like half your income or more.
Yeah.
I think that's a little excessive.
Right.
But the problem is,
how are they doing though? Like, what's their economy look like?
I don't know. Yeah, but the problem is in this country, most people don't pay taxes.
Yeah.
Most rich people and most poor people don't pay taxes, and it's almost exclusively the burden is on the middle class.
Yeah. And I got to say, like, I would qualify as like middle class. Like,
yeah,
I get taxed pretty heavy, but
you do.
So be it. Like, I'm still trying to grind and get out of that, of course, but.
Okay, and then introduce value add tax. So, like in Europe, 5 to 8% could raise $1 trillion a year.
What's a value add tax?
I don't know. VAT. Value add. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Somebody out there listening, hopefully they know. Maybe you can write in the comments. Introduce a value add tax. 5 to 8% could raise $1 trillion a year.
That just sounds like a bullshit thing. ChatGPT's like, could do this, but like, what does that look like?
Well, apparently they do it in Europe, and it could raise $1 trillion a year. That's a lot of money, especially when our total expenses right now are about 6.
Right. And again, it's not going to be one system that fixes everything here. It's going to be a combination of everything kind of working together and finding the perfect harmony in order to really restore balance.
Okay. Raise the payroll tax cap. So it's currently at $168,000, including all income from Social Security funding. I didn't know there was a cap. Did you know that there was a cap?
I had no idea there was a cap. And again, like Nick had a ChatGPT pulled up for this, of course. So we're just kind of reading on like what it would do to.
This is what the supercomputer is recommending to fix our.
But like it sounds like it's probably so much easier in theory than executing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like somebody could say that and like I have no idea what that system looks like. or how complicated it is to even get in there and fix anything.
Yeah. Okay, smart spending cuts. Not across the board, but this is about targeted efficiency and not cutting veterans benefits or laying off teachers. Yeah, I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fair.
So audit every federal department for waste and redundancy. Oh, wow. Isn't that kind of happening and people are freaking the fuck out about it?
Mm-hmm.
It's AI, the left-leaning machine says, do it.
Yeah.
Audit. And that's all that Doge is necessarily doing. I know they're laying some people off and stuff, but they're going after what they consider to be pretty much fraud and cutting that off immediately.
Right. And it's hard because, like you said, like a lot of these federal programs, they haven't even been like tracking where their expenses go.
Yeah. pretty wild stuff.
Right. So like, you know, I'm not a government employee, and I do feel for those people who are obviously laid off and had a career in government and just suddenly had their jobs vaporized, basically. But like, maybe your job wasn't the efficiency the country needed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably not even just like the jobs. There's a lot of other. What was it? You were telling me like the Air Force, how much they pay for cups or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't it like?
It was like $1,400 a cup or something like that.
For a paper cup.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an easy cut.
Someone go to Costco.
Yeah.
We need more paper cups.
Yeah.
You don't have to order from this defense contractor.
Amazon,
these cups.
You can get it delivered directly to us.
Yeah. Yeah. So they cut out those kind of expenses immediately.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of government programs where there's probably a lot of those inefficiencies happening that you don't even know about.
Yeah. Yeah. And apparently it's happening across the board.
Right.
Okay, so eliminate, this is also what it recommends, eliminate outdated and duplicative programs that like things that we created back in the Cold War.
Sure.
I don't know what it means by that, but
so basically it's talking about redundancies. So like outdated or duplicative programs, like things that are running two of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So you have a program that runs this and another program that basically runs that as well. And there's a lot of
overlap. Unnecessary regulation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. It's like if you bought Apple Music and Spotify.
Uh-huh.
Right? They're both different
providing
programs,
the same,
but they both
songs.
provide the same exact thing. So like that's what that means by getting rid of redundancy and duplicative products.
Okay. Reduce
all government spendings have Apple Music and Spotify.
This is funny. It says reduce defense contractor waste. And then in parentheses, it says massive opportunities here.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because almost $1 billion is going towards our defense budget.
Yeah.
And they haven't passed an audit in 7 years. And you see things like they buy paper cups for $1,400 a piece.
Right.
When they want to.
Yeah.
And you know that money's not going towards the cup. It's like it's padding the pockets of somebody that was corrupted.
Right.
Like that's nobody in their right mind is like, yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'll
sign off on that.
That sounds good.
But yeah, hopefully like inefficiencies and duplicative products and reducing waste. I think all of these sound smart from an outsider's perspective.
Implement AI-powered fraud detection in Medicare, Medicaid, and tax enforcement. This is an estimated $100+ billion in annual savings. That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah. So fraud detection services. Did you know that with Social Security, the incoming calls that they get, 40% of the incoming calls are all fraudulent?
I didn't know that.
They're trying to get people to change the ACH information to a different, they basically just get the personal information of someone who's in retirement.
Yep. Pretty easy to do.
And they just call in and they give them those, this is my social, this is my birthday, all this stuff.
Got a new bank account.
Yeah. Here's my bank account where I'd like the money sent. 40% of all the incoming calls were that. And so what they did was they put a stop to all the calls because they wanted to put in this, like when Doge found out about this, they had no way to authenticate.
Right.
Like I'm going to send you a text or something.
Yeah.
And then give me the code. So they put something like that in place
to
try to
authentication or whatever.
And I remember MSNBC freaked out about it, that they shut off calls the call system, but they got it back on, and it was thanks to our protesting or something like that, and it had nothing to do with their protest.
I'm going to go back to the same thing I've said a few times. It's this divide. It's the media, right? Saying like they take like a little chip of information. They're like, oh, we can create havoc with this. And both sides do it. I'm not saying either side doesn't. I've seen it on both. Trust me. They take a little piece of information.
Yeah, you're right.
The leftists are being dicks and they're protesting. Well, they're actually peaceful protesting. They're not doing anything wrong. They just don't have a solution.
Most of them.
Yeah, most of them.
There's some crazies in there.
There's crazies
just like there's crazies on the right side.
Yeah. There's pendulum swings both ways, my friend. Yeah, that's very interesting. You said that. I didn't know anything about the MSNBC being like, oh, thanks to our protesters.
Yeah, it was wild. It was just like, oh, I heard about this, but like it was that was not what actually happened, Rachel Maddow.
Right. And again, the media typically wants to create a divide, of course, because they want you to feel so concerned with what they're trying to sell you. Both sides. So take that while you will.
Fourth thing that AI recommends to fix our deficit issue is to grow the economy intelligently.
Terrible idea. Terrible idea.
A growing economy raises revenue without raising rates. Invest in infrastructure, education, and research and development, the top 3 ROI producing government expenditures. Streamline legal immigration to boost labor force and innovation.
I'm for that.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you there.
Yeah.
And that's not a very right thing of me to say.
No.
But I think if they can pass a background check and they're not like, they don't have a murderous history.
Right.
Just make them a citizen.
Right.
They got here like that. But do the fucking background checks. They weren't doing that.
Yeah.
They let in tens of thousands of criminals over the last 4 years.
Right.
And they didn't do background checks on anybody. It's just like, go to this app and it'll be fine. Come on in.
Right. And I don't know, like it
caused a lot of chaos.
Immigration is always going to be such a delicate subject for a lot of people. But I'm for with streamlining legal immigration. Like that sounds good.
But streamline.
A little bit of homework, man. I don't know.
I don't think they have to recite the Constitution.
Right.
In order to become a citizen.
Put their hand on a Bible and like swear.
Maybe agree. I mean, maybe it's a good idea. Maybe I'm being too liberal here. Maybe it's a good idea to have them know something about the country. But like, make it more streamlined.
I don't know. Like, again, as an outsider, I'm not a political expert or anything, but like maybe like have like people trying to immigrate here, like take a course on like what happens in the country and like here's how to get a job, here's what it looks like, here's what your tax rates are being, and like kind of educating people on like, this is how you help us grow. We can help you, but you need to help us too.
Yeah.
And maybe there's like a 6-week course where they keep them at like a
concentration camp.
I was not going to say that. I was like a nice place. Like
some camps are nice,
like the Hilton or something. like a conference room where everybody's like, yeah, we're going to be learning together.
Right.
Not like a concentration camp. As I was saying it, I'm like, this sounds like it could be a bad idea.
Just round them all up, and put them in a.
Just put them in a.
Pick them up on by train. Drop them off at these certain locations.
Yeah.
We'll educate.
Literally, as I was saying, I'm like, I bet Nick's going to call out that. Thanks for doing that.
They bring out RFK. He's like, you guys need to take out the yellow.
Yellow food dye.
Take out the yellow food dye.
Is that how he sounds?
A little bit.
I haven't actually heard him. Sounds like an old Tony Robbins.
Yeah, he's got his voice. Yeah. He's actually in really good health.
Oh yeah,
his voice is fucked up.
No, yeah, I've seen him do pull-ups. Like I'm for him being head of.
Are you?
Yeah.
So am I.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
I think like he's head of the health organization or whatever. What department is he leading?
You're embarrassing me now. But yes, the health has to do. Gosh, oh man, what is that department? The Department of Health or something.
Sure, for your health.
Guys, I know real estate.
This is a real estate podcast. What are we even doing here? No, like I'm very for somebody like trying to get rid of poisonous foods.
Yes. I think that's a good thing.
And who's like actually in really good physical health.
And everybody's like, the guy's going to take away all the vaccines. No, he's not. He's not going to take away. He never said he's going to take away all the vaccines.
Just like all the right
He's
people.
skeptical about some vaccines.
Just like all the right people are like, Obama's going to take our guns. He's like, tell me where he said that.
He never took away our guns, guys.
Weird.
Maybe he wanted to. But
Yeah.
he didn't do it.
In his head, he's like, "Oh, I want to take this gun so bad."
Yeah, but then how else am I going to kill my chef?
Well, the right won't let me. I don't know anything about that. Is that what happened?
No, he didn't need the gun. He just drowned him.
He did.
Obama personally drowned his chef. Yes, he didn't have anyone else do it for him. The guy's strong. He plays basketball.
Yeah. You can hold a head underwater.
Yeah. This cap keeps floating. Take the chef hat off.
But again,
Anyway.
I don't know anything about that, and so I can't really attest to whether he did or not. His chef may have died and drowned. Is that what happened?
Let's not get into that.
I don't know. This feels like it happened like years ago. When did it happen?
Oh, not too long ago. I think a couple years ago or something.
He wasn't even president then. What's the big deal?
Right.
You're allowed to drown people if you're not president.
The guy was listening in too much to their conversations.
Yeah.
He had to go.
You can't listen if you're in a bucket drowning. My dad always says.
Was it like in a pond in his backyard or something? Okay.
Right,
Let's move on.
Yep.
Let's move on.
We got to concentration camps and drownings and
Well,
Back up.
Obama never took your guns.
yeah, that's true.
He actually sold more guns as president. He was the best gun salesman of any president.
I love it.
More guns sold during his, unintentionally.
I did like what he said about guns. He's like we don't want to take them. We just want to make sure people can handle it. Right? You need a license to drive a car. We can't just let unlicensed people drive because they'll kill people.
Yeah, but you still, in most states, I don't think you need to register. I mean, you need to register to carry.
Yeah.
That's about it. Anyway,
yeah.
moving on. Okay, and then as far as growing the economy, one more recommendation: use pro-growth regulatory reform in cases of small business formation. Okay, duh.
Sure.
Tackle unfunded liabilities head on. Current unfunded liabilities are over $100 trillion. To address this, create a mandatory contribution-based accounts for younger Americans, a hybrid of public and private savings. Establish a wealth fund seeded by federal land and resources. Okay, this is an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Establish a wealth fund seeded by federal land or resources. Future carbon taxes can be invested globally, like Norway or Alaska models.
How do you feel about this first piece that says create mandatory contribution-based accounts?
Mandatory contribution-based accounts.
Now, in my head, what I'm thinking that means is from if you are a working citizen in the United States, you have a savings account that you cannot touch, almost like a Social Security account.
Yeah.
I think I'm for it because I think it shows people how to save money. In America, we're such a spending nation.
I mean, we have mandatory taxes. Why not mandatory savings?
Right, exactly. But here's an account that you put in since you've been 16. It's almost like once you get to 65 or whatever, they just give you that money back. Yeah. And it's grown with compound interest. And they're like, okay, here's your check for X amount. Congratulations. Thanks for being a working citizen for years.
Instead of the current Ponzi scheme that we have where we fund Social Security and then they immediately spend it and give it without it being invested.
Yep.
And that's why there's no money.
Yep.
Because all the money that we put into it is just going to pay people.
Yeah. And I think that'd be a great way to teach people who are not saving about saving. Cool, I mean, it sucks that it goes away from your check, of course, but this is going to a good cause that you will get.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you die, you've got, beneficiaries that can take that money right away type of thing.
Yeah. So recommend slowly transition away from full pay-as-you-go towards partial funding for future obligations.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then last recommendation. That's funny. It only gives 6 recommendations to fix the entire economy.
You got 6.
But debt pay down, debt targeting law. So pass a bipartisan law to tie government spending to a debt to GDP ceiling. So approximately 80%.
GDP is gross domestic product, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every budget must bring back below that line over a 10-year cycle. Okay.
Again, this all sounds so simple in theory because a computer wrote it for us.
Yeah. Can we just follow this plan?
Yeah. Executing that's probably a completely different thing.
Right. It's going to be, and things in government typically work slower. They don't work at all.
Right.
That's been our historic, way that we've kind of grown up on government, I believe, is like, hey, if you want anything done slowly, just have the government do it inefficiently. But I feel optimistic about how things have been going the last couple of months, even though there's so much panic. But I feel like we're doing the necessary things, no matter how much they hurt, how much the stock market's going to suffer.
Growth hurts sometimes.
Yeah. I feel like it's just so necessary to be able to do these things, and they may not be like ChatGPT did not recommend tariffs,
right?
In the 6 things to deal with it, but you know what? Somebody's doing something.
Yeah,
maybe it won't work. Maybe it will. We'll see.
People are smarter than us at full force on this right now.
Yeah,
they're working diligently.
You said the most brilliant thing of this whole podcast just now. There are people that are smarter than us dealing with the problem.
There are people who are like very in these systems and integrated and passionate about like fixing this.
Yeah.
That know the systems and know the people and know how to actually make a difference in the world versus us, who we're literally just consumers at this point for this kind of information.
And I feel like for the last 30 years since Clinton left office, we've just been using the system and not contributing towards it. Yeah. Or like living off the system, government agencies and bodies and like just relying on these things. Yeah. And not focused on fixing anything. Right. Just adding to the problem. Yeah.
I think with this, and obviously with the Department of Government Expenditures, I think anybody
government efficiency,
excuse me. I think anybody going into government, like I seriously hope you're passionate about fixing this country rather than padding your pockets.
Yeah. And it's hard to get in that mindset.
I'm sure, but
because most people struggle enough as it is.
Right. Obviously you get into a position of government knowing that it's probably going to be lucrative for your life and your career, but understand that like these inefficiencies affect everybody, not just the rich, not just the poor, like everybody.
Yes, they will. Yeah. And they're going to affect the most our grandkids.
Yes.
And that's who I think we should start giving a fuck about a little bit more.
I agree.
Is not just our kids, but our kids' kids. Yeah. Because the way we are moving, they're not going to have a future like what we grew up on at all.
They're not going to have Nintendo 64s and be able to ride their bikes to Big Lots.
They might have something completely better.
Yeah.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
I think that's always the hope, is that you want your kids and their kids to live better than you have.
Right.
But I feel like that's not the mentality that a lot of the U.S. public has right now. It's all about me, and what can you do for me?
It's a very selfish, a lot of people live very selfishly. And like, I'm probably guilty of that. Like, I don't donate as much as I should. Yeah. But again, like when I donate, what's it actually go to? So what's the point?
Yeah. And I'm the same with you. Like, I am a very narcissistic person. I do think about myself more than anybody else, even my kids sometimes. It's a bad habit.
Sure. But also like with us, like trying to grow, we are trying to better ourselves so we can help better other people. Like I know down the line, like I'd like to make more money and do more so I can help more people. In order for me to help more people, I need to have more first. It's like putting your mask on first and then helping someone else, right?
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Right. Like you can't really help. We can't go give blankets to kids in Africa if we have no money to give them. Right. We can't help countries like Ukraine if we're putting it all on a credit card.
Right.
Like we can't keep doing that in the future if we can't fix our problems first.
Right.
Which I think is the most unpopular thing for whatever reason with a lot of people is that why focus on America, you know?
But I also don't think it needs to be, also don't think it needs to be one or the other. Because I don't think like right now, like we're giving money to other countries in need and we're not working on ourselves, but maybe we could bring that number down a little bit. Doesn't have to be shut off. Yeah. And like that can be one of the pieces that helps bring everything back.
Yeah. And I don't think they're shutting it off completely. Right. I don't think foreign aid is being cut off completely. Good. I think they're just trying to eliminate most of what they determine to be bullshit.
And the waste and everything. Right. And totally get it. So hopefully this program allows us to find major inefficiencies and hopefully we find ways to be, again, just counteracting that, super efficient. And like
Yeah.
the more efficient we can be for everybody around us, I think it's going to make a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. And I really, really, really hope that we don't have a civil war between right and blue, or, you know,
Yeah, left and right or whatever.
red and blue, or left and right.
And blue?
Right and blue.
between a
Between
side and a color. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hope not either. Like I
Like that-
love that I can talk with. I know we don't exactly always agree on political preference, but we can have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
And
but I
think
feel
that's
like we agree on most things.
Yeah. And that's a lot of America. Like without the divide, they actually agree on most things.
Yeah.
There's just a few big issues that they are kind of dicks about to each other, and it
Might have different plans,
right,
of how to. I think we all agree on the problems and the issues. It's just like, what's a priority?
right.
And I feel like some parties have other priorities, and some you know, that they feel are just more important to focus on.
Right.
And it's
Because
all about
selfish. And it goes back to that selfish nature of like me.
Yeah, and all politics is just, you know, resources being shifted one way or another.
Right.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I think there's a real problem that we are all facing, is where all the resources are going to be gone if we don't fix the biggest problem of fixing our budget.
Sure. I love it. There was an analogy at the bottom of that ChatGPT thing. Did you read it? If you don't, I've got it memorized.
Oh, go for it.
Okay. Well, it says you don't fix a sinking boat by only bailing water or by only patching a hole. You have to do both. And I like that a lot. Like you can't, if your boat is sinking, it's going to be two things, and you really need to work on them together in order to stop it from doing so.
I didn't know you were such a Trump and Elon supporter until this episode, but thank you. No, just kidding. I'm joking. That has nothing to do with
it.
Okay. No. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I don't even need to put
in.
in political opinion here.
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter.
No, it doesn't matter. I like what Elon's doing. How about that?
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
I like it too. And
as a left-leaning person, I like what Elon's doing.
That's refreshing to hear. Because it seems like there's a lot of people that don't like it, but I feel like they just don't understand.
Nobody's giving it's
what's happening.
I feel meddling in my business. Get out.
Yeah.
And again, people that are freaking out are probably the people that have something to hide, and that's history's shown that. Like, if you're guilty, you're gonna throw your hands and flail and like try to divert attention.
Yeah,
it happens a lot, and
the fraudsters scream the most.
Yep.
Is what Elon said multiple times. He's like, I ran PayPal. The people that like screamed the loudest were always fraudsters. Whenever it came to auditing or anything like that.
Yep.
And now all these government agencies are being audited, and there's people just screaming in Congress how painful it is.
If you've got nothing to hide, you should have nothing to worry about.
But it seems like with the NGOs, there's a lot of people that might get in trouble.
What are NGOs?
The non-government organizations.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you not heard of this?
No.
Okay. Little bonus. You guys can leave now.
Or don't.
But so the biggest scam that Elon has found that could take some time to do anything about is that there's a massive amount of the reason why people are so wealthy in Congress. You know, they get $170,000 salary or whatever, but like most of them, by the time they've been in it for 10 years or 20 years, they're multimillionaires.
Sure.
They set up nonprofits, and then they have government give those nonprofit grants, and then the government has no ability to audit those books.
Got it.
And all of a sudden they become wealthy.
That is a major loophole that needs to be looked at.
It's called an NGO, but he goes into much more depth about how it all works.
Gotcha.
But he's exposing one of the biggest scams in history, probably ever.
Yeah.
Where billions and billions of dollars are being stolen. Billions and billions of dollars are being stolen every year.
This is not on just one organization. This is a lot of organizations. So
yeah, by people of Congress, senators, all these people, by creating these NGOs, being a part of them.
Politicians can be corrupt.
Yeah. But this is how they found out why are all these people so damn wealthy? It's because they set up these entities, and then they have the government give them money.
Got it.
And then there's no accountability after that. They don't see where the money goes.
Yeah, because you can't. It's a disregarded entity or whatever.
Anyway, that's all I'm going to say on that, because I don't know enough about it or remember enough about it. But that's the basis of it.
And again, hopefully with that, like, can Doge do anything with getting into these NGOs because they're non-government employees? Okay.
I mean, I think that they're just exposing it.
Sure.
I mean, Doge really can't do much.
Right.
They're just working as an advisor to the president of like, hey, here's what we found. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And then it's the president that's like, cut it.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's not Elon that's going in and firing people like they're claiming.
Yeah. I brought you the report. You do the information as you wish.
He's doing the audit appointed by the elected official. Mm-hmm. And then he's got a lot of actually, they keep claiming it's just a bunch of 19-year-olds running it. But there's actually a lot of like very like high-end people that have run companies before that are looking into the books and helping with this. There's like over 100 people that work for Doge. Yeah. And it is a government agency.
Right.
And then they're working as a consultant to the president, say, what do you want to do here? This is what we found. Say,
as somebody who, like, again, agrees with Elon and is more or less left-leaning, I don't think lighting people's Teslas on fire is the solution.
Well, that's always fun, though.
Is it?
I mean, it's exciting. Let's just put it that way.
It just doesn't help anything. You know it.
I know. Yeah. I want to keep my Tesla sometimes when I see it.
Yeah. It makes me want to buy a Tesla.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Like, they're actually really cheap right now. They've gone down in price.
Because they're all catching on fire.
Yeah. I don't know. They're offering like really low interest rates.
Are they? Mm-hmm. You can do Tesla in-house financing?
And yeah. Or you can lease them. You can lease like my car for like $300 a month.
Cool.
Like right now. It's kind of crazy.
It's not bad.
Anyway, we should probably get going.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks
everyone.
You guys, stood and hung out with us for an hour and 10 minutes. We appreciate you and love you. At least I do. I'm not speaking for this guy over here.
Yeah. Well, I apologize. I mean, obviously we don't come off that polished and clean and like we always know what we're talking about. We don't. We just want to address like what our opinions are. This is opinion based. We're probably wrong on a lot of stuff. Yeah. Try to get some help from ChatGPT.
Yeah. It's all entertainment based, of course. So we're not politicians. We're not, we're not a supercomputer. We're just asking the supercomputer for guidance and what
help
it
us
is
understand
to create some cool content for you that could change your mind or open your eyes up to things. I'm not trying to sway the public in any means. I'm pretty medium on a lot of stuff, and you know that too. So focus on yourselves, get better every single day, and we love you, and we'll see you next week at the Investor Shed Podcast.
Everybody, please pray for Jeremy. Pray that his years get better. Love you, everyone. Bye.
Thoughts and prayers. Thank you so much for checking out the Investor Shed Podcast. If you enjoyed your time, make sure to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Follow along on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at The Investor Shed for shorts and promos about each episode. Do you want to be a guest or know someone who has great real estate investing advice and stories? Reach out to us at theinvestorshed@gmail.com.